Greetings, this is Nathan. I wanted to talk this morning about a principle I'm learning about being a mercy, being an emotional person, and yet presenting with a lower amount of energy. And the way I want to phrase it is 4 out of 10. 10 being total emotional intensity, 0 being you're dead. And 4 out of 10 meaning presenting in a kind of low, that is your engine, your emotional engine being there but not revved super high. I have a mentor of mine, and we talk a lot about how it's easy for certain personality types to rev up emotionally and to present at too high. So we've talked about keeping our RPMs below a 7 out of 10. Recently, our family has taken in my wife's first cousin, little guy, and we're in the process of adopting him. And he's experienced some trauma and some different things. And the day he came, this is actually the second stint he's done with us. He did 2 years, and then he was gone for a bit, and now he's back. And when he came back, I felt like the Lord dropped in my spirit 4 out of 10, that I needed to, in my demeanor toward him, I needed to be at my energy level at a 4 out of 10. Wasn't totally sure what that meant. I knew what it meant to do, but I wasn't sure why. And as we're about 5-6 months in here, I'm realizing a couple things. Number one, for people who've come out of trauma, the leadership, the fathering, the mothering that they really need emotional stability. So for me to present with a low kind of emotional idol gives him the freedom to experience emotions, and I'm not elevating to synchronize with his emotions. I'm presenting with a low emotional state that allows him to feel safe. I'm realizing also for me that it's very good for me in a lot of other contexts too. I feel like this is a life lesson the Lord taught me out of this. I'm learning it in work, I'm learning it with my wife, I'm learning it in some different ways, that as I present with a lower emotional intensity in a lot of situations, I gain a greater sense of authority, I gain greater trust. Paul said to Timothy, if anyone is cleansed from basically sin, he can be a vessel of honor, and carry the presence of God. And I think sometimes those of us who are very emotional, we find it a challenge to carry the glory. We may experience the presence of God in profound ways, but it's another matter to carry that presence with dignity, with strength, and not to have the wine, as it were, spilled all over the ground. So something in this 4 out of 10 is allowing me to carry the presence of God and who I am in a way that is sustainable. It allows me to carry the glory. I wrote this down. It allows me to carry the glory, that it won't be spilled ineffectively on the ground. It allows me to be a man of peace. The Bible says when Jesus came up out of the water, the Spirit of God descended upon him like a dove and remained. And I think John the Baptist says it's the one on whom the Spirit of God descends and remains that I knew that he was the one, the Messiah that was to come. So there's something to be said about the peace of God remaining on our lives that points to heaven. And so I just want to encourage those of us who are very emotional that there is a place for that emotions. And I think but one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. And for me, this 4 out of 10 is something I'm learning as a way to manage that emotion in a way that gives life to those under my care, my children, my wife, the people I work with. So I bless you, whoever's listening to this, in Jesus' name, to walk in a greater measure of emotional stability. I bless you to be at a 4 out of 10, to not always rise your emotions to synchronize with the people you're with, but instead to come in the opposite spirit at times, and to come with peace when those around you are coming with emotional intensity. In Jesus' name.